The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. There's so much mystery surrounding this title and what's going on with it. We do have a release date for May 2023 for the game, but there's a lot of questions whether this is going to be a dual release or if there's going to be a next-gen Nintendo Switch version. And what are they doing with all this time that they're taking? And what's going on with the game? Is it going to be exactly the same or like DLC for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? How do they follow up on one of the greatest games ever reviewed, one of the greatest games ever made in the generation? But I do feel that Nintendo, along with the Zelda team, Monolith Soft of course, and everyone working on this, will be able to pull off the Nintendo Switch impossible with this game. And we're going to break that down right now. But before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, we don't know much about this game. Shout outs to all the lore YouTubers out there. They're doing a great job of breaking down and deciphering all the little things, all the little hints that Nintendo has kind of sprayed into the trailers. And that's awesome. That's fantastic. But I want to talk about what this game is going to be when it comes down to it. Can it do the impossible, which is actually surpass one of the greatest rated games, actually I think is the greatest rated game of all time, and that's The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on the Nintendo 64, the original release. That game still to this day sits amongst the top, one of the best. Now, the original Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came very close, 97 average, won numerous Game of the Year awards. But what I'm looking for with this game here, with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, is for it to surpass the original in every single way, then even add a whole new dimension to this game, because those are the type of expectations that you set for yourself when you announce a sequel to one of the best games of all time. People are looking at what you're going to do next. On top of that, 97 average on Metacritic. What can they possibly do? And what they've shown us so far doesn't show too many new things with gameplay. Now, we did get the patents that leaked out that showed all different types of different things that Link could or maybe could do in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and some of that stuff even was revealed with that huge stone flying object you're going to be able to fly on in the game. So that right there is already a big difference compared to the original Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, we got the whole water drop mechanic to where you can pretty much shape shift and you can turn into water, then teleport or beam up to different areas. That's actually a pretty cool thing. But how's that going to be used with puzzles? How's that going to be used with combat? How's that going to actually intertwine with everything else new in this game? And I think just with those two different ideas, and even some of the stuff that they showed in the most recent trailer for the game or gameplay footage with the release date, I think that there's going to be a lot more things that really vary up and fix the main things with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I think that's going to be the key to doing the impossible and potentially reaching the status of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Not only do you have to surpass what you did before, but you also have to innovate on top of that. And I think that some of these new gameplay mechanics, in addition to having better performance and just being able to take things to the next level with the story in the game, is going to be the key. Those are going to be some of the keys right there. I think that dungeons or having something like that to appease the hardcore traditionalists is going to be something that needs to be added in. I think that being able to have no weapon breaking or having a way to where weapon breaking doesn't break down, pardon the pun, the experience when it comes to the gameplay. Those are going to be things that they have to factor in on top of it being an incredible game, which is exactly the reason why I feel that they've delayed the game a number of times, on top of probably not wanting to eat away at stuff like Pokemon, for example. So the original Breath of the Wild had a lot of glitches and bugs when it first started. Now, it wasn't anything super crazy. It's not like Skyrim or anything like that, but it definitely was there. I think that them taking the extra time to add as much stuff that they needed to add in addition to making sure that it's as polished as possible, is one of the big reasons why the game is coming out next year in May, because they wanted to take that extra time to make sure that the stuff that happened with the original Breath of the Wild isn't happening here. And on top of that, they get all of the new ideas, all the different things that we saw in the patents, all that different gameplay goodness to really surpass what the original game did. Now, it is very possible for them to do that. It's going to be extremely hard because Breath of the Wild was a revelation for a brand new system. At this point, the Switch isn't a brand new system. It's not the shiny new kid on the block, and it's going to be harder to impress people at this point. But if there's one team that can do it, it's the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild team, without the introduction of brand new hardware, using the same hardware that we've got since 2017. There really isn't any upgrades or additions power-wise or anything, being able to take what they do best when it comes to gameplay and everything, and make it an even better experience to where you can say, wait a minute, that's been fixed, that's been fixed, that's been fixed. And on top of that, we've got dungeons. On top of that, we've got a better story. We've got better gameplay flow, better pacing, better everything in here. That is their one way to be able to get this done. Now, it's easier said than done, especially me sitting here not on the development team. This is a lot of pressure for any developer to go through, especially when you make a game that has sold 30 million units and essentially, I wouldn't say save the Nintendo Switch, but kind of save the Nintendo Switch when it comes down to it. At the launch, there was a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of people that were saying it's not worth the money. There was a lot of people angry at this system. Not all of it, of course, was just people being angry. We see that all the time. There was tons of hype and excitement, but without The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the Nintendo Switch wouldn't be where it's at this point, or it would take them longer to recover. They needed The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild there at launch. So with a lot of expectations, this game is riding into it, and it has to do some crazy stuff in order for it to really surpass them. Now, the reason why I think that we haven't heard too much about this game is because there is going to be a lot of crazy brand new ideas that we've never seen before, and they don't want to spoil the experience. Now, do I feel that we're going to get more information on all that? Absolutely, we're going to get that. I see them doing a Nintendo Direct based on The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I see them doing something that's completely geared towards that. I think there's going to be multiple trailers, and I think there's going to be a direct strictly for the game. And they're going to break down what this game is about, the new additions and everything. And I think that they're going to put an emphasis on the fact that now you do have some forms of dungeons in there, and you also have some form of not weapon breaking, or you can fix your weapons. I think they're going to really make sure that they hit home the things that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild didn't get right, or people didn't like, or whatever the case is, and really expand upon it with the new features in the game. That's going to be the key to beating out Ocarina of Time. Now, some people say that it can't be done, right? I mean, the game has a 99 rating, with recently The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild being able to get close to that. Twilight Princess, great game. Wind Waker, great game. So many great Zelda games over the years in the past 20 years or so since The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time has released. But Breath of the Wild was the only game that can even get close to that mark. So I think that this is their opportunity. This is their chance, especially with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild being as popular as it's ever been. Ocarina of Time was that game to where it made The Legend of Zelda more popular than it's ever been in its entire life at this point. This is that opportunity for them to really kind of take hold of it and say, this is our chance to have a game that gets near that spot. Can it get a 99 average, or surpass what people still feel to this day is the greatest Legend of Zelda game of all time? But they have their work cut out for them. It's not going to be easy, but I think that taking all of this extra time to get it done is exactly how it's going to be able to reach up to those levels, because many people still feel, even at this point, that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the best Zelda game of all time. Now, maybe not Zelda purists out there, but a lot of people that are more on the casual side but play all the games, maybe aren't deep into the lore or think that dungeons are the greatest thing in the world. A lot of people say, no, this is my favorite one of all time, myself included. So the fact that it's even in the conversation is definitely a good thing, and they can improve upon it. But it's going to be tough to hit that score. So that's not the only thing when it comes to doing the impossible. But what it also comes to doing the impossible is actually having a game that surpasses the original in every single way, shape, or form. And that's what I kind of wanted to get into today. And that's what I've been trying to explain with this here, because we haven't seen much with it. And people are a little bit spooky on this game, right? People are saying, well, wait a minute, what's going on? It's been this many years. Apparently, they started development of this game after the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC finished up in 2017. So we give or take maybe a few months, go towards 2018 when development started. You got all the 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, now 2023. You can count that as 6 calendar Nintendo years for this game. And yeah, that's a lot of time. Is there problems? Are there development issues? I mean, there's always development issues with any game. Every game goes through hell and back when it comes to development for most big titles, but I think that they're taking that extra time for a number of reasons, and we're going to see that very soon. I think that probably around, I would say, March or so, they're going to start really ramping things up. I think that there's going to be a Nintendo Direct where we get another trailer, and I think that they're going to announce a bunch of stuff, because once again, this is the sequel to the best-selling Legend of Zelda game, the most popular Legend of Zelda game of all time. About 30 million units. They have to really go in with this. They have to go all out with this game. They have to make sure that this game is everything that it could be. So once again, a lot of pressure, and maybe I'm overhyping things just a little bit here, but I think that Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has deserved and earned that in terms of what it did for the Nintendo Switch, how it came out, the review scores that it got. People are really looking forward to this game, and they're really looking forward to seeing if Nintendo can actually improve upon everything, give us the same great game that we know and love, and improve upon it to the point to where it can reach those levels. It can get that 97 plus, which is just incredibly difficult to do. It's very hard. I mean, I can count the number of games that have gotten scores that high in the past 5-6 years on one hand, like Red Dead Redemption, and like Red Dead Redemption, right? Red Dead Redemption 2, I mean, Elden Ring is a 95. I mean, it's very hard. Super Mario Odyssey, that's like a 97, so that game as well. But it's very difficult, especially for major or big action games out there, to review that high, especially sequels as well. You know, if you're not doing something that's completely separate when it comes to scope and space and area. And Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a follow-up, right? So you are going to see some similar things when it comes down to it, and that's been some of the complaints that people have had. But as God of War is shown with God of War Ragnarok, yeah, there's going to be some similarities, but that doesn't mean you can't smash past it. But even though that game hasn't smashed past it when it comes to the review scores, it's right in line with what the previous game did with God of War 2018, right? So can they go above and beyond that? That's what's going to be interesting to find out with this game. But I am thoroughly excited and ready to go with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I wanted to talk about it in a video. And I also wanted to get you guys' opinion on this, because I find this to be very interesting. Some people think that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild or Legend of Zelda is an RPG game. Some people think it's not. So let me know in the comment section if you've made it to this point. Is the Legend of Zelda series, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, are those RPG games? Is that a role-playing game, or is it not? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Maybe we'll even have a community poll when it comes down to it. So let me know about all of that and what you think about what I had to say here in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we'll see you for the next video. Peace.